Hello, everyone, and welcome to CodeCast by STL Tech Talk. We're going to bring you the content you want and need: instructional, informative, unique, and insightful commentary on programming and technology. My name is JJ Hammond, and I'm joined tonight by my good friend. I would arguably say up there with the best of friends that a guy could have. The one, the only, the truly fantastic, magnificent Alejandro Ramirez. Hello, and welcome to the show, sir.
Hey man, how's it going? Good to be here again.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I miss not having you around. Let's just say that. So it's exciting to have you back on the show again. Because last week was a solo week, and that was a little fun. But I do enjoy talking with other people other than the people in my head. So it's nice to talk to you, especially Alejandro. Now, if throughout the show you hear what seems to be my roof caving in, it's because it's thunder and lightning. All right? So if there's some weird stuff that happens during the show, you now know that it's because I'm either dead, electrocuted, or the power's out. So, and hopefully not that order. So, anyways, I just want to thank you for being on the show again, Alejandro. I really appreciate it. To Kevin and Gus for everything that they do for the show as well. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the show, Inertia Software, creating cutting-edge, highly scalable Microsoft technological solutions to the energy industry. Visit inertia-software.com, not to be confused with Alejandro's inertia.com, so we won't bring that up again. Tech Systems is another one of our sponsors, and here we go. So you want to advance your IT career, but you don't want to submit hundreds of resumes to online job boards in the hopes of creating and finding your next job? Your solution is simple. Tech Systems is the leading IT staffing provider in the U.S. and is ready to be your career partner. Their goal is to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. Contact a local recruiter today at techsystems.com/St. Louis. That's teksystems.com/STLOUIS. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off the show with some back and forth between Alejandro and myself, and that's basically just around this idea of what we're going to be talking about today, which is programming from the mindset of either a gamer or some type of achievement in mind. The reason why I'm framing this conversation the way that I just did, Alejandro, is I don't know about you, but when I program, I like there to be some sort of reward, some sort of feeling of achievement after I've done what I've done. You see what I'm saying? Instead of just feeling like I'm just doing what I have to do to, make everybody else happy and my bosses and so on. So in that vein, it's interesting to me how many programmers take time out to actually spend time programming for games, and how that rewarding experience actually gets people motivated to wanting to accomplish menial tasks, right?
Right.
So, what's your thoughts on that stance? Do you agree with me there, or do you think that it's a distraction and people should just stop doing it and get back to work?
No, I think that I imagine in a normal day that the type of apps a developer has to deal with are probably in a large majority of cases not exactly the most exciting things, like banking applications or maybe large transactions data and that, and well, some people may find that interesting. I think that games and just the whole notion of graphics and animations that has a lot of I don't know, that has a lot of a visual element that is pleasing both to the creator of the game as well as other people that are seeing a game come to life. And so I do too also know a lot of people that do that as a hobby. I think it's a rewarding way to see something come to fruition that is more of a piece of art as opposed to just corporate software or something a little bit more serious, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the sounds like we're in agreement on that. The other thing too is when you there's like that reward, that sense of accomplishment, right? And then I think there's a lot of benefit from thinking of getting tasks done with the reward in mind. Something that came across the news wire in the last couple of days with this was this idea of having Xbox Fitness, something so small, right? Sync up to Microsoft Health. So if you got the Microsoft Band, you got an iPhone or Android or Windows phone, whatever, all that stuff syncs to the same spot. So you could be playing a game and punching out, ninjas or whatever, or listening to Julian Michaels tell you how fat you are and how much you need to get your butt in shape, or whatever the case may be is. And all that stuff is synced, right? And there's achievements that are unlocked from that kind of activity. So I'm starting to fall into this idea of, or in this way of thinking, where there are achievements that I can gain in normality.
I see where you're going with this. The term that has been used to coin that is called gamification.
Right.
And it kind of comes from the whole idea of rewarding you for your progress. Rather than playing a game end to end, they started introducing this notion of achievement, especially with Xbox. I'm pretty sure Xbox is the one that introduced the notion of achievement unlocked. And you find all of the, I don't know, zombie heads in the Walking Dead video game, and boom, now it's achievement unlocked, Headhunter.
Right.
And they have applied that to a lot of context beyond game development, of course. Like what you were talking about, apps like fitness apps. You set up a goal on your Fitbit or Microsoft Band or whatever it is you have to say, I wanna walk 10,000 steps a day, and for whatever reason you walk 15,000. You get not only the, hey, you attaboy, you got your 10K, plus you went above and beyond, so you get this badge. And you've seen those badges are kind of like everywhere. I believe Foursquare started with something like that a while ago. Where if you visited 10 coffee shops and then you were like the Java guy, like not Java programming, but the coffee,
the actual Java.
Yeah, and I've seen other people try to apply it to other situations. Maybe sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. But it goes with that. I don't know if it's a need of the human being of feeling that there's accomplishment getting done towards a larger goal, or if it's just self assurance that, oh yes, I'm doing a good job in here, or keep going and stuff. But it seems to be very effective. I think that's why you see more of it everywhere.
Well, and to be fair, I think there's a reason why the carrot in front of a person, is an effective tool to to get people to do things, because you're like, hey, you're just chasing it, I think that lends itself into coding and other things. Okay, so anyways, the gamification, you did a wonderful job in kind of segueing us into this idea. Well, the biggest part about coding and programming is thinking about how we can use these in both real and fake space. One of the cool things we're going to be talking about during this show is Unity. Okay, and Unity and programming in general, not all programming, but some programming, lends this idea of your ability to conceptualize space. Okay, so it does take some spatial reasoning to help you get done. And so, for example, if you have an airplane, your simulation can't, you're not going to be able to go through the ground, right? So you need to know, where the ground is in relation to your object, and how to program that object to do certain things, and what and how and all that stuff. And I think it's used well as an effective tool to train other people with, to teach people programming, is with games, just because you have to do while statements, you have to do loops, you have to do all these different things that are very important. And the longevity of a program. You have to think about everything, and I quoted this the other day, but a sage can see the end before he begins, and I think that rings true in programming as well. So when it comes to gaming and spatial reasoning, you have the X, Y, and Z axis that you're kind of dealing with. So you have to do some spatial record, and then you have to deal with maybe how a plane spins, or what the object characteristics are. So it allows you to kind of think about space in a different way. Another cool thing about gaming is this thought of we're programming for augmented reality. If HoloLens taught me anything, and other augmented reality features, is that that is the future. I mean, one day we will be to a place where we're using the stuff that we use now in an augmented reality kind of way. And you have to know spatial reasoning and logic and programming code to that effect. So would you agree with that, Alejandro?
I agree. I have to admit I'm a bit sad about the way technology is going sometimes because I feel like we're still building very individual experiences. So for any manufacturers and thinkers, please listen to these words. I'm super excited, don't take me wrong, but I want this to be collective. I want this to be about more than just the individual, because the thing I will hate to see in the future when I'm about to die, when I'm 200 years old, is that people are just walking with their big HoloLens or what's that other one, the Oculus Rift or whatnot, and they're just kind of alone in the world, and their only friends are online people that they don't even know. So I really hope that we are able to breach with technology and things like camaraderie, maybe through gamification evolve to kind of bring everybody in. But back to the topic that we were talking about. To add to what you were saying about game development, I think there has also been a change in the way we are able to develop games and develop content for these new 3D environments and augmented reality. I think I can dare to say this day that you no longer necessarily need an engineering degree to write software. I think that software development languages have evolved to the point, or matured to the point, that they are really a lot simpler, that there is less complexity than ever before. You hear all these stories of these kids who got rich because they just taught themselves how to code mobile apps, and all of a sudden they're making all this money. And you know, it's not necessarily your kids going to the Ivy League schools just because they're brainiacs. It's just somebody who has really the desire to do something and the resources, thanks to the internet, which we didn't have when we were kids, right, JJ?
No.
It's just all this stuff that is available at your fingertips, and so concepts that in the past you like had absolutely no freaking idea, like how do I develop a game? You just think maybe sticks and I don't know, sound effects, and now it's like what you were describing is the simulation of real physics, and you don't have to be a physicist to know that, hey, if I drop a ball, the ball doesn't go through the floor, right? Unless it's a heavy ball, but that's another story.
Right, but it's transferable. I just want to say something real. It's transferable. That's what's so great about game development, I think, as an instrument, because you can transfer the skills from gaming into physics, as well as you can take physics into gaming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So you start simulating collisions and detection of other bodies in 3D space or 2D space. Like if you're a character that is moving and there is something blocking, you can stop. One of the most prominent programming classes actually teaches people how to code in Java. It's called I cannot quote. It's like CS 101 in Stanford. It's available online. It's kind of the most viewed video for learning computer science. It's free.
Yeah. It's CS 150 or
CS 150, I believe. And the book that they use is called something like Jared the Robot Learns Java or
right.
something like that. And this little robot is just kind of like a little Mac, like the old classic Mac, and you kind of make it go through a maze, and it's coded in a way that those objects prevent you from going forward. So in a way, people feel like they're playing a game and while they're learning to code, but they're also learning other things that they don't realize, like that whole notion of space and content. So in game development, I think that is even more important, because it's not about necessarily being completely realistic, because there's a lot of room for fantasy and whatnot, but there has to be some sense of people feeling familiarized or familiar with the environment they're playing in. Like they
Hmm.
expect a character to walk through certain types of terrain, but not to be able to walk over water and things like that, right? Unless you're playing some weird game. But
Right, right.
the ambience will set up like, oh, I can do this because this game is cool or is different. Like what was that Portal game that you can just teleport, create portals everywhere and just go from place to place.
Right.
So like I said, there's some rules, but if you set up the proper setting, then I think you can bend those rules and just really have something super cool going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when I was messing around with game development, I remember the first time I was using this program called Alice. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Um, but it's kind of written. It was written in the Java language, pretty much, and it's an open use. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but um, it was similar to what some simulations do, and we're going to be talking about Unity on tonight's show. But there's other ones like the Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of like way crazy realistic looking things that I'm like, whoa. But the engines themselves, we should say, does emulate a little bit of what it's like to use an IDE, right? So the idea of training within a studio, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, it gives you that knowledge, right? So how to bring a new object into that space, where to put it,
Right.
different stuff like that, and then also just to maybe make your brains grow a little bit in a good way, to learn how to call on APIs and libraries, and figure out how to make those machines that you're writing to perform tasks better. So that's
Yep.
what's really unique. So let's talk a little bit about, if it's okay,
Mhm.
languages. So there's a couple of different familiar languages that may not necessarily pop right up to some game developers. One of the biggest ones that I always find interesting is C++ is actually a really well-known language to write games in. Did you know that?
I kind of surprised that it is, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. I mean, people use C++ for a lot of stuff. Um, I cannot imagine Halo, something like Halo, not being developed in something like C++. Um, I can see how we may have evolved to where if we want to let the masses build content and build games, that maybe those same tools are available in different languages. But yeah, I think the reason of C++ being so popular, like you're saying, I'm guessing it's because of its access to hardware and a lot of lower level controls that otherwise you probably have to go through a lot of hoops to be able to pull something like that off. But
Right. And well, so we're talking about Unity, and that's really interesting. But the other thing is, some projects are a lot of the time are written in Java. The studios are used. C Sharp is another one that's used as well, um, and things like that. So it does teach one. I remember. I don't know if you remember ever doing a game in like a Flash. Do you
oh
ever
yeah,
remember doing that?
I was
Oh
gonna
god.
say ActionScript is basically JavaScript,
Uh
and
huh.
when Flash was popular back in the 80s, there were also not only just like animations and funny cards to send people, because I had a million of those, but there were also all of these little games that started to come up everywhere, and really behind Flash there was JavaScript wrapped by Adobe and labeled or relabeled ActionScript. And ActionScript was really a subset of JavaScript, but it really allowed people who were maybe doing web development with HTML and JavaScript to, hey, now I want to do a game. So um, what happened a couple of years ago, maybe not just a couple of years ago, maybe it's a little longer, but so when the whole thing happened where HTML5 came out and Flash lost a little bit of its popularity, I
Hmm.
think that with the browsers getting a little bit more standardized, the W3C kind of giving people more creative abilities with the HTML5 canvas, CSS3. And then all of the stuff that has made JavaScript kind of make a big comeback. I think if you want to do anything in any language, you will definitely find something similar in JavaScript in jQuery or one of those libraries. So the same is true for games. If you are doing games, most likely you're going to write some JavaScript behind for a web-based game I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a game on my website. It's kind of a hidden Easter egg, but I might share the link later on. It's all built with Flash and JavaScript in the backend, and it's like a little Space Invaders clone, just because that was one of my favorite games growing up. But it's so simple. I mean, you can download that tutorial online and just build a game in like an afternoon. Like it's raining. I don't have anything else to do. You can, like I was saying before, it's just information is available and the language choice, I think it's wider too. So, like you were saying, C++ is very popular, but I will say it's not the only choice. If you know C++,
Oh
like
no! I just said
do.
I thought you would find that interesting that it is
I do
popular.
find it interesting.
I just thought that found it interesting, but I would say more specifically, I would say that you got F sharp is good. There's a lot of that's done with that. Gosh, I mean there's a lot doing Java, a lot doing.
I mean, I can imagine people writing games on whatever you throw at them, like Fortran or something like that. I'm sure, given the time, anybody can build a game, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So you got X and A and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so before we move on, there are different ways to plan out your game. A lot of people don't like to go. They just want to get to the game. I don't want to hear about it. Whatever you're talking about, just stop. I just want to play the game. But it's really important that people kind of map out or storyboard, and you're used to doing this a lot. Now that I think about it, but I mean, you have to kind of imagine what this world and what this what you as the user or your users what kind of interface you're going to be dealing with. You just have to think about that kind of stuff. So if you have a character, some people call it a sprite, for example. Other MIT does that a lot, but so you've got to think about, okay, so from the very beginning, how do we do this? Like how do we plan this out? So you do prototyping, then you do your design, then you have some type of story. So you have an achievement, you have an end goal, so a beginning and ending, and stuff like that.
And do you have a storyline, or is it kind of more free play? Do you want the user to just kind of discover, or are you going to narrate a story along the lines?
Right.
Are there levels, or is it just continues until the user dies? Does it get harder the more you play? Do you have lives, or just one life? There is a lot of things that you have to think about, and depending on your media, if you're doing a console game, well, you probably need to do something that is going to have people engaged for a very long time, because the price that games are selling on disc, it's like around $60, I guess. That's kind of the standard now.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Bucks. So I honestly expect to spend at least a month, 2 months of, if I'm playing like every weekend, I hope to get at least a month to 2 months of game content, and hopefully downloadable content that I can continue playing. If you have a game that is more of like a time killer, like Peggle or Tetris, then you can probably make it difficult enough that I can play for a while, get tired, but still feel engaged enough to come back and pick it up again. Maybe as a game publisher, you have to think, is the content that I'm putting together today going to be the only content that I'm going to ever make available, or should I build it so that I can expand it in the future through in-app purchases or expansion packs, or so you don't have to write like a game 2.0 version and people have to buy like the next version, because what's coming next is completely separate. So all of those all of that thinking has to go in place, even whether you're making the game for yourself, for family, for your kids, or if you want to sell it. I mean, you kind of have to think the end-to-end. If you sit down and just start kind of cutting away, I'm sure something fun will come out of it. But a more sustainable game, something that you can probably brag about and potentially just enjoy to play a lot more. It doesn't hurt to just kind of think about it probably and storyboard it and it doesn't have to be I have to buy tools to do all of this stuff. You can just napkin and
Right,
pen
right,
or
right.
Surface Pro 3 plus stylus or whatever it is that
I
you want
know,
to
man.
use.
Yeah, it's strange now. I
Right.
know Alejandro. I've converted him over. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you need to come on along, and do the 2015s and stop drawing on paper. But no, I'm just picking on him. So vector graphics are big. The other one is OpenGL. We'll talk about all of that stuff, I promise. But we have hit a point in the show where I think it's important to move to the demonstration.
Right.
So if you want to go ahead and while you're getting that ready, I just want to do a quick plug for all of our other shows that we do. I am not alone. I have other people that donate their time or whatever the case may be is and just have fun. But I want to thank Gus, Kevin, Alejandro. Thank you for being here for this show. This is CodeCast. We also have The Tech Informist. We do that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of throughout the week. And that's with Kevin and myself. But ironically enough, I won't be there tomorrow. However, somebody will be filling in for me or not. Either way, Kevin's good to go. So we have that show, plus we have the MS Mobile Show. So I suggest everybody go check those out who are into listening to podcasts. We would greatly appreciate a download, a like, a follow, subscription, whatever the case may be is. Tell us something about if you like an episode or if you want us to do more of one thing. Give us some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. So Alejandro, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and get it switched on over to you.
All right. Let me attempt to share my screen first of all. Let's see. Okay. And then hopefully you can still see me down here.
Okay, that guy's kind of creepy. Not you, the
Yeah, I
guy
know.
on the couch.
No, I know what you
So
mean. Don't worry. I know what
for,
you mean.
for yeah, you're a sexy
This.
devil, but that guy, uh,
So this
yes,
is the Unity homepage, and I just wanted to. The only reason I brought it up is just to say that with Unity 5, Unity 5 basically introduces all of the pro features for free. They always had a free tier, and basically the threshold is if you, as an individual or as a game development business, makes under 100 grand, then you don't have to buy a license. But if you make more money, then you have to buy the license. And the licenses, if you're making that kind of money, you can afford it. If you're just trying
right.
to be fancy, don't go there. It can get expensive. So uh, the download takes about half an hour. So I actually got it ready before we started. Um, I'm running it on Windows. I am pretty certain I saw that there was a Mac download as well. I have
Mm-hmm.
not tried it on the Mac. I've always used it on Windows. Now, the attractive part of Unity is that Unity allows you to export to Windows Store, Windows Phone, iOS, and Android, as well as web and perhaps other platforms. But I'm pretty sure you can also target like consoles and stuff. But um, the only thing I forgot to say with the free edition versus the paid edition, the only thing you're gonna get with the free edition is a splash screen that says built with Unity, but there is no like watermark all over your game and stuff. It just has a splash screen when you launch your game, like if you're doing an
Mm-hmm.
uh, app store game, like for the Microsoft Store or the Apple Store, then that's what you're gonna get. But out of the box, I just installed this fresh today, and from having used Unity 4 to 5, the demo that comes preloaded here, I mean, they have revamped the engine, and it just looks fantastic. Just playing here with what JJ was saying, I'm just going to push play here for a sec, and you're going to see what happens. Hopefully it's not too loud. Can you hear the car rumbling?
No.
Okay, good, because I hear on my headphones, and it's like loud as heck. So, so this has built in, I'm just going to start accelerating the car, and of course, I'm gonna go for the big loop. I gotta go take that big loop, but I'm gonna crash against some stuff. So see, all of this stuff is engines built into this. This is just a demo. You can obviously customize some of what's built into it, but check this out. I love doing this, and I'm sorry, I know like I'm playing here, but check this out. Ah!
Yeah, I checked you out right up until you ran into the side of the loop.
Well, I'm driving this Ferrari-like car, and it's super fast, but you kind of get the idea, right? You have physics. The car doesn't fall through the ground. When I brake, you can, I don't know if you can see, but you can
Yeah, we
actually
can. Yeah.
look at the tracks making burning sounds and stuff like that. But
Well, we can
let's see
see.
if I
We
can
just
make
can
it.
hear. So.
Ah! I'm gonna change the camera. Woo! Bam. All right. So so here's the track. Now this was of course the most fun thing. This is a really cool one. This is a built-in demo of 2D character, fully playable. You can probably reskin this and make a game if you want, so you don't have to like reinvent the wheel. But see how there is like all of this stuff that if you think in the past, how can I possibly build all of this? Well, just that whole collision detection is kind of built into the engine. You see how I just passed away for not saying dying, and then it just kind of resets.
Right.
Uh, and since you were talking about jets, I'm just gonna pull out this really cool jet they have here. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
And actually, let me pull a different one because
Wow.
I
That
cannot
must have
fly
been
this one.
so loud because I actually heard that.
Yeah, look, listen to this.
That's
I
crazy.
cannot fly this thing, so I'm just gonna make a fool of myself. But okay, all right, enough of the demo. You guys get the idea. So this is kind of the cool thing. This stuff that you see here in this demo, that's all kind of built into the environment. You just kind of have to pick what kind of project you want to build, and then you start adding your elements, your
Mhm.
graphics and stuff. So like this car, just I can just pick the car, and I can say, let me see if I pick the right component of the car. I think yeah, it's a car body or something like that. I can actually change the color of the car and say this car needs to be red because I love STL Tech Dog red. Um,
He
so
does,
anyway,
folks. He does.
yeah, so you can actually go and customize pieces. I think I can. Yeah, there we go. Car body. So just gonna say, make this kind of nice shade of red. So now when I play the game, my car is red. And see how long that took me? It was like, vroom. I mean, that took nothing. So, and that was just a simple property of the car. There's other things like how much gravity, how much speed, and that.
Oh,
But
right,
what
right.
I really wanted to attempt to do today will probably run out of time before you know it, but I have this tutorial that I found online that says, hey, here's a super quick slap tutorial, and the idea is that you build something that looks kind of like this. It's like a Flappy Bird, well, Tappy Plane clone. And so by means of this demonstration, I just kind of want to showcase, oh, here's kind of in action. Here's an animated GIF, excuse me. So pretty simple stuff. You have an airplane image that just kind of bounces on the screen when you tap on it. And then you have these obstacles that the airplane can crash against. And when you touch them, it just falls down and the game restarts. There's a background that stays static. The only thing that is moving is this. Now, there's obviously many things you could do to make it better. But in this case, in half an hour or so, we're going to try to see how far we can get. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. And we're just going to call this CodeCast. What do you want to call it? Or
STL.
Tappy
Codecast.
Codecast.
There you go. Tappy Codecast. That's
Tappy
fine.
Codecast. And this is a 2D game, not a 3D game. Just gonna say create project. It's doing its magic. Now the tutorial I think was built for Unity 4. I hope we don't get stuck with some weirdness, but all right. So one thing to notice here at the centers, we have this camera. That camera probably controls kind of the view. Since this is a 2D game, well, there's probably not a whole lot of space, environmental space, or angles that you can track. But so what we need to do now, see on this side on the left, we have kind of the equivalent of a file organizational structure. So what we're gonna start creating is we're gonna put some folders in there just to kind of keep things organized a little bit. So we're gonna say, let me see, where are we here? Navigate to the projects window. So am I on the right place? Oh, it's right here. And I'm gonna say, you see how, I'm sorry, this is at the bottom here. It's might be a little hard to see. I don't know if you want me to increase my resolution,
No,
but
no, no, no. You're everything's
okay.
fine. Everything's fine. Yeah.
All right. So here, what I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna create another folder. I'm gonna call this folder the prefabs, and then I'm gonna have another folder called the scenes, and I'm gonna create another folder called scripts, and then one more called textures. And this is just kind of to organize. It's similar when you're building a website and you have an images folder, so you're just kind of keeping your project assets organized. So the prefabs are basically objects that can be reused, such as bullets, enemies, walls, which in this case will probably be those pillars. The scenes are like levels in a game. Scripts are where we're going to write the code. Textures are all of the images used in the game, like background and stuff like that. And in gaming, these images are called sprites. I'm not sure about where the term sprites came from, but so all I'm gonna do is, I'm here in the tutorial, I'm just gonna save this image, and I'm gonna put it on my desktop for now. And it says that I have to put it on the textures folder that I just created. So let me see if I can import new asset, go to my desktop, pick the background, import. So now I have my background there. Okay?
Okay.
Pretty simple. Now the next thing I have to do is just drag the image into the center main screen area. So I'm just going to take that image and put it here. Scale, it says set the scale to 2.5. So here's a scale setting on the right hand side. So 2.5, 2.5. And that kind of takes care of the first part of the game. See? Kind of have 2/3 of the game done already, right?
Nice.
Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. So next thing we have to do is we have to get the player. And obviously you could pick any artwork that you have if you design a, spaceship or whatnot. Well, you can obviously do that. So, and this image is thankfully already called player, and it says let's add this image also to the textures folder. So I'm just going to say import new asset player import. So we have this, and just like the background, I just drag and drop it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change its coordinates and everything else. So I'm just going to copy the values they have. I guess they have it like as a minus 2.0342 in the x-axis, kind of in the center, and then minus 0.07 on the y. And then it says set the value of z in the right sidebar under transform to -1. And that assures you that the player is always in the front. So think of this as like layers. So -1 in this case, I guess, as opposed to being the opposite way, I guess -1 always says that of your layer -1, you're at the front of the view. I guess just something to remember. All right, so next thing we're going to do, following these instructions, we're going to click on Add Component. And, oh no. Oh, here we go. Add Component. Maybe it was loading because it's the first time I'm running this. And we're going to look for Rigid Body 2D. And we're going to have all of these options here for Rigid Body. And so I believe the airplane was still selected. So if I push play, the airplane falls because now the airplane is a rigid body that obeys the laws of gravity. Now that stupid camera doesn't let me see, but let me just kind of move it a little bit back. So now, and a cool thing to see here on the left is that you can select the different elements on your main content. So I'm gonna select the player, and I'm gonna move the, I guess must be the x-axis to maybe -10. No, -1. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm just gonna move it maybe a little bit more like -2. All right. Okay, so now if I push play, you see that the effect of adding a rigid body property to this or component to this airplane makes it fall down every time I start playing the game, because push play is basically play the game. The airplane falls down. So just like right out of the bat, you already get gravity without having to write a single line of code. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. So now that's when we get to write some code. In this particular case, they're using C#. I believe you have the option to use something other than C#, but we're just going to kind of play along with this. So we're going to go inside the scripts folder, and we're going to create a new C# script. I see that we can also create JavaScript. So if you guys were kind of wishing that this is JavaScript friendly, it is. So I'm going to create a C# script, and it says to call it player.cs. And I hope it's not player.cs.cs. Yeah, it actually called it player.cs.cs. So I'm just going to make a correction. I'm seeing an assets error, parsing error, probably because there is nothing in there. But so let me see. I'm going to double click on it. Let's see what happens. I think if you double click, it opens like Visual Studio. Oh, monodevelop. Okay. This comes with Unity. I didn't install this, but I'm pretty certain that this probably came with this guy. So if you have a different C# editor, I think there's a way to configure. But so for now, I'm just going to go with what they're asking me to do. So there is a public class. Oh, I see my mistake. It called it player.cs. So let's actually delete this guy and start all over again. So yeah, don't put the extension of the file because it screws things up. Call it player. And now I don't have an error message. So I double click on the file. And you can see the code here on the right, which is kind of nice when you...
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah. So, all right. So now no more error messages. It seems to be playing nicely. So what do we do here is... right after public class player mono behavior, we have it says the force which is added when the player jumps. Okay, so force for jumping. So we're configuring a property that determines when you interact with the plane how much jump it's going to do, how much jumping is going to be added. So public vector2 jump force equals new vector 2 0, 300. And I guess I don't really need this other thing. Oops, I don't need this other guy here. Then there's this update is called once per frame. That's kind of the rate in which the game refreshes itself. So every frame it's refreshing. So what happens during updates? If input dot get key up, so if we're saying basically jump, and the key that we're going to use when we don't have a touchscreen is the spacebar. So what we're going to do when the user presses the spacebar, we're going to say rigid body to the dot, oh wait, somebody's calling my phone. Hey, I'm busy, don't bother me.
There you go.
So, okay. Seems to be missing something. So rigid body to the dot velocity. I feel like we probably needed to name this guy rigid body to the. Let me just check here the instructions, see if we didn't miss that. Nope. Okay, well, maybe it should be player. Player dot. Nope. Oh, come on. We were doing so good. We brought it to the
We were so close, you and I.
dot velocity. Yeah, I think we're missing something here. Let me do a quick search for read.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to
Body
take
to
advantage of this
the
time and say that the word sprite is derived from the Latin word spiritus, and that's the origin of the word that means spirit. But used in games, it was first used back when Texas Instruments talked about it, and it was used because it was untethered in the two-dimensional space, so it floated in the space, which was used to classify things such as a ghost or sprite. So that's where the term.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So yeah, player and player.
Also, I wanted to blow your mind real quick that Unity was written in C and C++.
Aha. That doesn't surprise me.
So that goes to my earlier conversation about there's not much C++ can do.
Okay. So for now, I think I'm just gonna copy their code. We'll see if it complains or what. I'm sure it's not gonna let me do much, but let me close out of here. So if we sure. So if we push here and I press the spacebar, yeah, it's not taking it because it's not knowing what I'm talking to. I'm not surprised, but only POT. Yeah, this might be because the guy who wrote this did it with the older version, but okay. Let me just browse really quickly to the code. The thing is I'm telling it to do something and it's not finding who it is doing it. So, all right, come on.
So the object's not attached to the command.
Yeah, it's just saying rigid body to the dot velocity equals vector to 0, rigid body to the. So I'm guessing this let's see, player, and we did that. Well, because that's called player, so it's not really like we can call it something else, but bummer. Well, let's see how far we can get. Let me just cheat and copy paste the rest of the code. Public vector to velocity. Yeah, this rigid body to the velocity. So okay, let me start from the player again. Let's see if we can fix this sucker. But you know, let me do this. They have the full code on GitHub. Let me just download the code and look at their code and see if they did something that they forgot to tell us in the tutorial. Give me one quick second.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I just want to do a couple of public service announcements, I guess you could say. So continue on, my good friend. Charity is what all I want you to know about is Hope Line, a domestic violence prevention and support organization. It's a good organization. You guys should know about it. The DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, and Wounded Warriors, both of those are good, worthwhile causes to contribute to. Also, there's a local story for us here in St. Louis. It's a good story, not a bad one. HealthyMeHub.com. If you want to help with, readmission rates for people to not have to go back and see the doctor, stuff like that. You can monitor and from the emergency room and all this other kind of stuff. But anyway, so go check that out. All that is very useful information. Also, we want to give thanks again to everybody at the Nebraska Code Camp to providing my good friend Kevin a well-deserved good time. So he did a good job presenting there. From what I understand, the YouTube video is up. Should be on our STL Tech Talk page or CodeCast page. I'm not sure exactly, but it's probably STL Tech Talk in the interim. But yeah, so that's that. Alejandro, you ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna open their. I just downloaded their code, so I'm just gonna see if there was something we missed because they didn't really tell me here. Where's Tappy Plane? Tappy Plane. So where is the project? Open existing project. Assets, library. So how do you open this guy here? This is a C#. Weird. They have the code, but I don't see how you open the whole project from like I downloaded everything here. It says Tappy Plane solution, but that looks like a C# solution.
Oh.
Well, let me look at something. Did we save this to the like this project? Save project. Where did we put the project? It's probably gonna go into our desktop documents. This is Unity. Nope, it's not here. Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Because I'm trying to figure out, well, how the heck do I open your project?
Right.
Yeah, open project. So, okay, here's the code. Let me see. Users. Wait, that's, yeah. So users, public documents. What? Wait, what? I don't have a public folder. What are you talking about? Willis.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. Tappy CodeCast. That's so weird. I guess that comes from not using it before, but all right, let's see. Users, public. Somehow I found it. Documents. I don't see that. All right, let's just do this. See users, public, documents, edit projects. Happy CodeCast. Well, they do look like Visual Studio solutions. Imagine that. So I guess open other, and I just say start.sln, and go to the one we just downloaded. Tappy, 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 tappy. Show me everything. No. All right, we'll do it the hard way. So go to the folder, downloads, and we just had it there. Come on. Okay. All right, let's see. Open with Unity here. So program files, Unity. Seriously.
Well,
But it's easy, I promise you.
Yeah, it's easy. Well, I think it's safe because I mean we saw
Oh yeah.
the you know the how that works and what it looks like and I think for the most part after looking at the plethora of stuff that you've downloaded on your machine, that was wonderful television, by the way. Um, that it is an easy and worthwhile endeavor to embark on, absolutely. And I think that Unity provides, I think, a certain level of transferable skills like what we were talking about before. And insofar as even Alejandro mentioned at the top of the show that you can push that
Mhm.
stuff out to all the different app stores, that's big. And I think that's a useful way to get your project and your game into other people's hands. So very cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
appreciate you taking out the time to
well
try to
we
troubleshoot that.
we tried, right? I think if we can figure out how to wire it, we can try some other time to see if it actually does what it's supposed to do. But
Oh yeah, it will.
um,
It will.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So all
absolutely. It'll be
right, let me
fine.
turn this thing off. 1 second.
Okay, no problem. I'm patiently waiting. But so
All right.
while he's doing that, the other thing I want to talk about was the vector graphics. You know, the other side to computer programming for graphic artists, in fact, is this idea of OpenGL and what it is. You know, so your Open Graphics library. Wanted to make mention of that. It takes advantage of your GPU. There's and again, vector graphics are important. You can use the Adobe Suite, or you can use things like GIMP to create some amazing 3D art that you can use in your game. It doesn't have to be so left brain versus right brain stuff. You can kind of do that stuff in tandem, and then you can work with others to try to accomplish tasks. So that's what's a lot of fun about gaming in general. So I suggest our listeners, kind of, get into the indie gamer stuff a little bit and just kind of see what the crowd's all about. I think you guys have a lot of fun learning because it's the same types of operations you'll find in business logic. Would you disagree with that, or would you agree with that, Alejandro?
No, yeah, I think I agree with you.
I didn't listen to a word you said, JJ. No.
Exactly.
I'm just a pretty face. Really that's all I do around here. I just
It
smile and
sounds right to me.
it's yes, it's my delivery. It's because I'm inside your mind. Lincoln. So, for those of you who don't know, Alejandro works all day long and has a wonderful family. So we thank him for being on the show. So thank you, Alejandro, for being on the show and taking out time
My
to,
pleasure.
to grace me and our audience with your presence. Is there anything that you want to chit chat about before we get off the line here?
No, I just wanted to say that we're trying to get back on a regular schedule for CodeCast, so it doesn't appear to be one day of the week and then another day of the week. I think I partly take the blame. I've been rather busy, and sometimes I
Yeah,
just don't know if I'm
it's
gonna
okay.
be available to help. But uh, yeah, we're planning to get on a regular schedule. Hopefully that will be Mondays,
Hmm.
and so that you guys can have a regular time to come and look. And we're reaching out to other people, other guests. Um, so stay tuned. We're gonna get back on the air at your usual hour soon.
Yes, agreed, totally. So that's very exciting, and Alejandro's doing a lot of work with a lot of stuff, and he did. And this isn't his only presentation for today. He did a really awesome presentation earlier. Uh, I don't know if you can say what it was about exactly, but it was him doing his thing. So if you want to find Alejandro, where can people find you and what it is that you do?
Yeah, sure. I work as a consultant for a local company called Polaris Solutions, and we were at the Microsoft office at lunch today. We bought lunch for about 39 people who kindly showed up today, even though it was raining. Um, in my job, I basically coach people and companies on working on agile software development. So the talk today was in one of my favorite topics, which is software testing. So I was kind of going through the experiences of having been in different companies and growing up with software and working across different methodologies. So that's what I was doing. So if you guys have interest in any of that, want to chat or just I don't know, talk about any other stuff, you can find me on Twitter at Alejandro RMZ. I believe it's on my. I think I turned
Overlay.
it off. It
Yeah.
is no, it is on my overlay.
Yeah, it's
So
on there.
you can find me on Twitter. I always have one of my holy cow, thunder.
Wow, that was thunder. Jeez.
Um, and now the dog is chickening nearby. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm always online. And like I said, I love talking about all of this stuff. I have a website that I recently launched. It's kind of a personal blog called it's alejandro.codes, CODES.
Wait.
And that's
I'm gonna look this up right now. It's
yeah,
hold on. It's your name.
alejandro.codes, CODES. And that's what I'm trying to put some of the content that might not necessarily fit here in 1 hour, like this tappy plane. I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna put it there, and some other stuff that is kind of hands-on, plus the occasional rant. So if you guys have time, go find me there too. Leave a note. That'll be nice.
Okay, it's not pulling up for me. Alejandro dot
Codes, CODES.
codes. Is it .com? Codes.
No, just alejandro.codes. That's the domain.
Alejandro.codes.
Yep.
Well, that's interesting. It's not pulling up. Hold on.
I have it on my screen. I can share. See if you look at my screen right now. It's alejandro.codes, like it says here in the header. Zoom in.
That's not fair. Hold on. Alejandro. I know I'm not spelling your name wrong. Alejandro.
Of course you are not.
I know I'm not spelling your name wrong.
Yep, so
Flashcard Arcade. It's not coming up, dude. Seriously, it's weird.
oh, it's probably because you live in Timbuktu.
No, shut up. Shut your face. That's not even fair.
Well, anyway, enough with the commercials on this. You guys know where to find me. Visit the site if you feel like doing so. What I would really like to say, if I'm allowed, is that I just recently started a meetup group here in Chesterfield for those of you like me who are lazy to drive downtown or to other places. We're talking about mobility primarily, but we meet once a month. We're on meetup.com. So if you guys like talking everything mobile, particularly mobile developers, aspiring mobile developers, come check us out. Like I said, I just love hanging out with geeks and talking about geek stuff all day long. If I could record a podcast every day, I would. It's kind of reality show. Hey, let's just hack all night long. Let's build something until we figure it out. Because I think there's a lot to be learned about talking to people who are doing the same things you want to do, whether it's building games. Seems like I have this knack for always demoing something that crashes. I used to be a software tester, and it's like crashing software always follows me around.
Yeah.
Like, demos never work. If I was working for Apple or Microsoft, then they will totally not put me on the stage because they know that freaking HoloLens will crash on me, or Cortana will be like.
Nice. So I was finally able to get in. So you can't type in like any. You just have to type in alejandro.codes.
Yep. There's no www. It's just alejandro.codes.
There's no
Simple as that.
HTTP either. There's no HTTP either. If you do that, it's gonna not go to the right place either. So
I didn't know about that one, but
yeah,
I believe you.
You're welcome.
I am the stealthy website.
I know. Yeah. But no, I wanted people to know about this, because I think you have a lot of cool and insightful thoughts, and I think that those should come. We should promote that stuff. It's interesting, definitely, to follow you. So again, I wanted to take just a quick more second to say thank you, all of our loyal listeners. We really do appreciate you. Alejandro, do you have anything else before we end the show?
No, again, thanks for having us here. I apologize that the demo didn't work. I'm very disappointed, but we'll make it up. We'll make it up to you. I promise. I'm gonna figure out how, if we have to record something offline and then share it with you. so be it. But yeah, we'll make it up to you. I promise.
All right. So to all of our fans, we love and thank you for your support of the show. So from the entire CodeCast crew, good coding. We're out.